Getting laid off or losing your job can be one of the most traumatizing experiences of your career. Once you receive the news, you're probably trying to process your emotions of anger, confusion, sadness, disappointment, or even the feelings of uselessness. Truth be told, close to 40% of Americans will experience some sort of job loss in their career time. So it's not something that you should feel like is unique to you. And I understand that people do take it personally because it is a personal experience. Definitely something that you should give yourself some grace over and not feel like you should be beating yourself over. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you a behind the scenes look of what I would do and how I would structure my schedule specifically if I would be losing my job tomorrow, or if I had fears of losing my job, so that I wouldn't have to scramble about finding another job. And the reason for that is sometimes we get too comfortable in our day-to-day jobs. Trust me, going through a job search can be so exhausting, such a long and emotional roller coaster that once we get that job, we don't want to let it go and we hold on to it to dear life. But one of the biggest mistakes that I made earlier in my career was get too comfortable and just get blindsided with opportunities and or decisions that the business would make on, we don't need you anymore, bye-bye. And so these are daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly things that I do to make sure that I am not blindsided, that I am no longer worried about either getting laid off or unemployed, because I am essentially converting this routine into a machine to constantly have leads on the back end and continuing to have an amazing and fruitful network on my backpack, so that I don't have to worry about what the market is doing, what the companies are doing, to have opportunities always on my back pocket. Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Ediana. I have been recruiting in HR for the past 9 years in corporate America for mid to large size companies, teaching you actionable steps on how to get hired faster, negotiate your salary, and get more confident in corporate America is my thing. I'm so excited that you are here. Let's jump right into the video. The number one thing that I like to do, and I do this every single day religiously, I do not miss a day, is to check my LinkedIn. The reason why I like to check my LinkedIn is because I do get a lot of messages on there, and trust me, I get it. I've been on LinkedIn for quite a bit, so I have built a reputation. People do reach out to me there a lot. So if you're not there yet, do not worry. But essentially the reason I am on LinkedIn every single day and I do reach out, respond, and try to engage on at least one DM per day is because there was an article that came out by LinkedIn a few years ago saying that people who are most likely to appear higher on the search when recruiters are looking for them are those who are most likely to respond. The way that you are categorized that way on the back end by the algorithm is if you are active on the platform. So I think that you should give yourself at least the time and the chance to appear on those searches higher up by coming into the LinkedIn algorithm and by just checking your account and your app at least once a day. It does not have to be long. It does not have to be a complicated thing. You can do that by going in there for just 1 minute, opening it up on your phone, scrolling through there, and just answering to one DM. Even if it's just one friend of yours, treat it like a Facebook, respond, or just say, hey, just checking in. Remember that thing I told you about LinkedIn? Let's just communicate through here once a day just to say hello and create a little community in there. Something that I do on a weekly basis is to keep track of my projects. And the reason I do this is so that I am not scrambling at the end of the week trying to find out what did I do. So I have an alert that goes off every single Friday at around 3:30 in the afternoon, and it tells me, hey, check on the projects. And sometimes I also do have an email that immediately goes out to myself just to remind me, because sometimes I have those reminders on my calendar and I completely ignore them because I'm either working on something that I cannot concentrate from, or I'm in the middle of a conversation, maybe I'm in a meeting and I can forget. So I do try to send myself an email because I do clear my inbox every single Friday, and I try to send myself an email to remind myself to keep track of my projects. Not only is this a great practice to get into for yourself, but it's a great practice to give an FYI to your manager, especially if you're an entry-level employee, to send them an email at the end of the week, say, hey, here are the projects or the things that I worked on this week. Here are the things that are pending for next week. Am I on track? Let me know if there's anything that I'm forgetting, anything that I should prioritize. And this is a great way as well to keep track of your things for end of the year cycle to dump on your performance evaluations. Because let me tell you, when that time of the year rolls around, we're always scrambling like headless chickens, trying to think back of the things that we worked on, because we tend to always leave these things for last minute, and doing it on a weekly basis is always fresh on our minds, and it's never going to be a time for us to question, what the heck did I do this week? Something that I do on a monthly basis, we have done daily and weekly. Now let's move on to the monthly things. I usually do this on the first Thursday of every month. I don't have voice of reason for this. You can choose any day of the week. You can choose any cadence that you want, but it has to be on a monthly basis, because once you do that more than a month, it's gonna get overwhelming. So now I build off of the weekly tasks of dumping all of my projects, I then now build off of that and translate that into my dump all resume. I have close to 20 pages on a Google Doc of all of the projects, important things, metrics, accomplishments that I want to highlight on my resume. I dump it all into this one document where I know that it's going to be relevant for me to utilize on an actual resume in the future. And then I just put it into bullet points. Any huge milestones, projects, things that I know could be beneficial or helpful for any future applications that I might want to apply to. These are great things to keep track of because you need to have a resume ready to go at all times. In my opinion, I think that you should have a dump all resume to keep track of all of the things that might be relevant, and then have an actual resume that you can kind of pick and choose the things or drag in and out, the things that you believe are important to present in front of an emergency job posting that you see that you really like, that you really feel attracted to. Or if you're in that pickle of you just got fired, laid off, or you're in an employed situation, you have something to send to a recruiter pretty quickly. Now, this can be really tedious, it can get long, and something that I recommend for you to check out is Teal HQ. Teal HQ is an amazing platform that is essentially growing as we speak. They are adding new features, and I started using them back in 2020 when I was unemployed myself after the pandemic. And they started off as a tracking system for jobs. I was using a Google Sheet to track my job applications, what stage they were in, if I got rejected. I was in the interview process, tracking the amount of money that they were offering, the titles, the job description links, and things like that. But now they've evolved where they have a resume template within their own AI system that essentially helps you create bullet points. It has an AI assistant, and you can have your dump all resume within that same system as well. They do have a free version. I will go ahead and link all of that resources down below. Not sponsored whatsoever. I wish, but it's just a product that I stand behind 100%. I've been working with this product since 2020, and they are just an amazing company. Totally recommend, and I think it's going to be a great product for you to take a look at. And there is a free version that you can use. The next activity that I do, I only do it on a quarterly basis, and now that I'm more advanced in my career, I've moved this to do it at least twice a year, which I don't feel that I need to do it so often, like once a quarter. But when I was entry to mid-career, I did introduce this to do it once a quarter, and that is to take a look and be informed of what's going on in the market, taking on interviews, proactively applying for jobs, even if I wasn't interested in taking the job offer or even switching jobs, because this is a great time for you to understand how competitive you are, how much your company is currently paying you, and how is that comparing to what other companies are willing to pay you. Not only that, but you're also essentially staying in contact with potential recruiters in other places, you're building relationships, and you're staying sharp within your job application process, because interviewing is nerve-wracking, and the longer you wait to interview, the more difficult it's going to be to get back in the horse when it is time to do it seriously. So I believe it's very important to stay sharp when it comes to those skills and continuing to rub shoulders, even if you're not interested in leaving your job. And I've actually landed a job that was paying me 20% more than what I was making because I got an offer. I decided to go back to my employer. I was not going to take a counter offer because I do not recommend people do that, but that's a story for another video, where they wanted to match me, but they were unable to match me the same amount. And I decided to leave because 20% is just a big chunk of money. And the environment for that company just seemed a lot better. And that was something that I was doing passively without really having a lot of thought behind it. And that's something that I absolutely recommend for entry-level to mid-level professionals who are just starting out in their career. And I think if you have a decent amount of time in your current company, anywhere between a year minimum, again, that's up to you. That's a personal thing when it comes to job hopping. That's a whole other story as well. But I think that it's important for you to maintain those skills very sharp when it comes to applying for jobs and knowing what's out there when it comes to the market and the market rate that you're being paid for your expertise. Now, those are the things that I do currently as I am employed, and proactive steps that I take to make sure that I am preparing myself in case of the unexpected. I hope for the best and prep for the worst. Let's say that you are unemployed, you got laid off, and now you have your hands in your head and say, oh my God, what am I gonna do? I'm not prepared, Ariana. I didn't think of this. I didn't even watch this video. What do I do? Do not panic, because I prepared a second part of this video to teach you what to do to implement this strategy once you actually are in the can. When they beat you, when they essentially put you on the street and say, bye-bye, we don't want you anymore. The first thing that you need to do is prepare yourself and organize yourself mentally, physically, and everything with having the necessary steps and the necessary documents for your job application. So the things like an actual LinkedIn profile, a resume, a cover letter. I know, but sometimes you even have to do it because you never know when you're gonna encounter a employer that actually requires you to write one. You're gonna need to have a list of target companies that you might wanna apply to. Some sort of decent research on the salary that you are gonna be targeting, especially if you were in a company for a long time. You probably are a little bit stale with that information and probably were already underpaid if you were only receiving market adjustments when it comes to inflation. You need to be clear on what type of runway financially do you have, how much long do you have to look for a job, how much time can you spend looking for a job according to how much money you have financially. So a budget, for example, would be helpful here. You need to be prepared mentally and have tons of time to prepare for your interviews. It's gonna be very important, especially if you've been stale on the same job for a long time and we're not practicing that muscle. You're gonna need to have time on your calendar as well to go on informational interviews, on actual interviews, and then also have time for some networking. And of course, something that you cannot forget about is having time to actually apply for the jobs, because sometimes people just forget for that piece. I have a sample calendar that can help you, and this essentially is a sample calendar for 4 weeks. This is very short compared to what's going on in the market right now and how long it's gonna take you to really find a job. But I'm only gonna go through the first week to just give you an example, but I'll have a sample shot in the screen so that you can see what it looks like for the whole 4 weeks. But that's just to get you started. You can adjust and prepare yourself as you wish. And again, this is just a sample. You can give yourself for each of these activities 1 hour each, and please make sure that you're giving yourself some breaks in between and some breather room so that you're not just doing this every single week, every single day, every single time that you have a break during the work day, even if you are unemployed at the moment. The first thing that you're gonna do, so the first week, Monday morning, that I want you to understand is start with your what. So if you don't know what the what is, it's having a job searching strategy. I just created a video on that. I'm gonna be linking it somewhere in the screen around here. I'll also be linking in the description box, so make sure you go check it out. So it's essentially a really robust strategy of how to create a job searching process to help you land that job a little bit faster, especially in this market. So starting with your what, having that strategy, understanding what it is that you're looking for, have that list and that concrete understanding of where you wanna go, how you're gonna get there, and what are the actions that you're gonna take to get you to where you wanna go. The second piece, so on Tuesday, for example, once you have that robust strategy planned out, now you're gonna work on your paperwork, like your LinkedIn profile, your resume, your cover letter. Now this might take you a little bit longer than just 1 day, because I think it's important for you to have a fresh mind every time that you are working on these documents, have somebody review it and then do some tweaks and implement the feedback that they're giving you. So I would give this at least a week to work on these documents. Again, remember, plug this on your calendar however you think is possible for you and whatever makes sense and more feasible for your schedule. The following week, I think that you should start giving yourself time to reach out, create a network, start telling people that you're open for work, that you're looking for new opportunities. What are the things that you're looking for? How many years of experience you have? What are your areas of expertise? What locations you're looking to expand on or stay in? What are your preferences? All of those things are gonna be very important for your messaging. Stay tuned, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because a networking video is coming super soon with what to do, what not to do, and the type of messages that you can send, how to actually write an announcement letter on LinkedIn if you are getting laid off, or if you just got laid off, are unemployed, or are looking for a new position, how to do that and maximize your chances of getting more replies. The next step within this calendar is going to be researching companies that you are trying to target. The reason why I think this is important is because the more narrow you go, the better chances you're gonna have at understanding how that company hires, what is the process, really following the steps to make you stand out as a candidate. Because sometimes people just go with the spray and pray method, thinking that the more applications they put out there, the better chances they will have. And that sometimes is the truth, but sometimes that's counterintuitive, because you cannot do a job well applying for 100 jobs as opposed to dedicating yourself to spending intentional time applying for 5 jobs. The chances of you hearing back from those are a lot higher, because you've intentionally spent time taking a look meticulously at what are the things that they're looking for, making sure that you're speaking to the person receiving your application very, very sharply and directly. It's just a lot better to do it that way, because the person receiving your application is going to understand your needs. They're going to know that you understand their needs, and the chances of them reaching out to you are going to be a lot higher. You're going to do something that the 99% of other applicants are not doing. You're going to give your chance. You're going to give yourself within this time frame to follow up, to prepare for these mock interviews, to to apply for actual jobs, because it sometimes takes a long time out of your day, believe it or not, and to build new connections. Even if those connections are not gonna get anywhere, I think that they're gonna be a great opportunity for you to be uncomfortable in the uncomfortable. And I know that that sounds cliche, but sometimes we just get, again, the reason why we're in this situation is because we got too comfortable in our last companies, or because it was really sudden. And in this climate, in this state, it is best for us to prepare for the worst. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst. Something else I wanted to add with this is to make sure to stay accountable. So if you know that you're not going to follow through with this, put alerts, have somebody to help you be an accountability buddy, tell somebody that you really trust, that you love, that's potentially going to do it with you. Maybe call them via Zoom and say, hey, can we just jump on the phone for the first 10 minutes of this so that I can get pumped up, so that I can start doing it, and then you can just hop off, no pressure. And then that way you already are in the mood of doing it, and you already are in the applications, you already are in the LinkedIn profile, you already are doing your resume, so that way you can get in the state of flow and get things started. Because sometimes the hardest piece is to get it going. But once somebody is there with you, you're gonna feel a lot more motivated. You're gonna get the gears going to be able to start this process. It's very important for you to do that. Another way to do that is to have your calendar hold you accountable. So you make sure that you do that as a meeting or as an accountability or as a to-do, so that you feel the satisfaction or the dopamine of checking it off and saying, okay, it's done. I have completed it. I can check it off my to-do list. If you wanna know how to create a job searching strategy, make sure to check out the video that I just posted earlier this week. It's going to be linked in the description box as well as somewhere in here. This is going to be a really juicy video for you, because a lot of people just jumped right into creating a resume, creating a cover letter and a LinkedIn profile, and then they come across as someone who doesn't know what they want. It comes across as all over the place, and that is also potentially hurting your chances at getting a callback or even seeing results. So it's very important that you see these videos in order for you to understand how to tackle this job searching strategy in tough times like we are today. As a reminder, this is an 8-part series of an amazing collaboration that I'm doing here on YouTube. This is the first 2 months of posting videos every single week to help you land the job that you really want in this crazy market right now. The next upcoming videos are going to be very practical on how to create a resume, how to have a stellar LinkedIn profile, how to negotiate, how to prep for your interviews in any way, shape, or form that you want. So be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any of those. I also did create a newsletter to get you alerts every time that one of these videos come up, just in case that notification bell does not work. All of those things will be linked in the description box. Let me know what questions you have and what other videos you would like me to create when it comes to getting more comfortable and confident at work, negotiating, getting hired a lot faster, because again, that is my thing. I have 9 years of experience in the industry and I cannot wait to spill all of the tea. You got this, and let's get you hired.